Zia, imagine you start your car in the morning and you hear this really harsh, nasty sound. And you just turn the stereo up really loud when you hear that sound, and you do that every time you hear that sound. So that's what we've been trained to do. As there are so many men just speeding down the highway of life at like 100 kilometers an hour with their stereos blasting and their fan belt ready to just snap. And this is what it feels like for us, because whenever that voice comes up, that emotional experience, that anger, that sadness, that fear, what we've been conditioned to do is to turn up the music or turn up the noise so that we don't have to hear it.
Eyes open, hearts ready. Welcome to Wellness Deconstructed. I am Zia Jaffer, and together we're stepping into the arena of authentic well-being. Myth-busting, truth-seeking, and definitely life-changing. Break free, live boldly. It's time for a conscious uprising. Hello, and welcome back to Wellness Deconstructed. I'm your host, Zia Jaffer, and today we're talking about men's mental health. And for that, today, our guest is Rishi. Rishi is the founder of True Mana, a coaching and well-being platform, guiding people towards greater consciousness, purpose, and freedom in their lives. As a transformational coach and modern meditation teacher, Rishi's approach adapts traditional practices to suit the needs and lifestyles of people in today's fast-paced and technology-driven world, helping them break free from life's obstacles. Welcome, Rishi.
Thank you. Thanks, Zia. Nice to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
You look lovely.
Thank you. So we're going to dive straight into it. Tell me what a man goes through. I have no clue. What does a man go through in this life, I would say?
Oh gosh, very big question. Lots to say about that. And I'll speak a lot from my perspective, but I've worked with a lot of men, and I know a lot of men, and there are so many similarities.
Of course, you're representing all the men watching today
look at that,
on
feeling
this podcast.
That. No, well, let me do this. Let me put it in an analogy, okay? Zia, imagine you start your car in the morning, and you hear this really harsh, nasty sound. And you just turn the stereo up really loud when you hear that sound, and you do that every time you hear that sound. So that's what we've been trained to do. As there are so many men just speeding down the highway of life at like 100 kilometers an hour with their stereos blasting and their fan belt ready to just snap. And this is what it feels like for us, because whenever that voice comes up, that emotional experience, that anger, that sadness, that fear, what we've been conditioned to do is to turn up the music or turn up the noise so that we don't have to hear it. Because we're meant to be in control. We're not meant to ask for help when we need it. We're men. We're supposed to have it, under control. So we've kind of like buried those emotional sensors, actually that's not true. We do experience those emotions, but we found ways to compartmentalize or to turn off that sound so that we can just move on, And I think because of that, a lot of men deal with a lot of unnatural levels of emotional and mental stress and anxiety, and it's difficult. It's difficult for men. So in a analogy, that's kind of what's happening, and every time I guess something comes up and we're feeling it, we're feeling fear, or we're feeling sadness, or we're feeling anger, or we're feeling confusion, because sometimes we're not sure what we're feeling. That term anxiety, that feeling we have, sometimes there are men who are constantly anxious, and sometimes there are men who seem to have it together, but there's this low grade of anxiety that exists because we've been bottling up so much. And I think that stands between us and our true masculine power.
Yeah, I hear you say, like, you've been taught or you've been forced to numb your true expression or being able to freely express what you truly feel or just generally experience as a human being. And it's really hearing me makes me feel so sad, because I was like, I have kids that are both boys growing up, and I really don't want them to go through that experience as well. But what do you think makes men want to do that, or or them being forced to want to numb that experience, numb that real experience, and pretend, or like how you said, turn on the stereo on full volume so you don't actually meet that real side that is going through the whole spectrum of emotions.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, how that happens, and I'll talk about how it happened for me, and I know it happens like this for a lot of men too. So when we're young and we're out there in the playground or the field, you know, what really matters to us most is really to fit in with the other guys and to have friends, and we have these sensitivities, and the moment we're seen as being too emotional or too sensitive, we're policed by the other guys. You know, we're told that, dude, stop being that way. That's so girly.
Yeah.
And you know, I probably learned a lot of this from my dad and my granddad and my dad's brothers. As boys, we're taught to be in control, you know, stand up, speak up, don't cry. And we're also taught not to do things. We're taught, don't throw like a girl, don't run like a girl, don't do that, that's so gay. You know, we're told all these things, and when we express them naturally, because these are not male or female qualities, these are human qualities. It's a balanced approach, but we tend to actually stop showing our sensitivities and expressing them so that we can fit in. And as we continue to do this, as we grow up and we continue to do this, and I'll have to admit that, you know, I've been on both sides of this. I've been the guy who's been policed for being too sensitive, and I've also been the guy who's said, hey guy, come on, be a man. You know, I've been there before, so I can see it from both sides. I'm not proud of it, but I think most of us guys have. But when we do that and we go through our life is an emotional experience. We're going to have emotions. We're going to have the essence of life is emotions. But when we have these emotions and we feel like we need to actually bottle them up and hide them, when we keep doing that, we keep like compacting like, I don't know, clay or papier-mâché around our hearts, and we just start living from here. And everything has to be, you know, we're in our heads, we're analytical, everything has to make data or logistical sense before we approach it. If something is emotional or it's too complex because it's emotional, we put it aside or we try to intellectualize it. And it hurts our communication, it hurts our experience of being in relationships, in partnerships, whether it's with a partner or whether it's with our kids or it's with other people. It hurts us too because we bottle up so much inside and we keep it there. And yeah, that's kind of how it happens for us at a young age. And I don't really think there's a playbook on, you know, how to be a masculine man, but it happens in different ways, but like in a similar way to most men at a young age.
Yeah, I hear you. And what I feel is like, as little boys, when you're policed, you're shamed for your behavior. And that shame is what creates that numbness inside, and also fear to be able to bring that out again. And that shame and fear are very strong blocks, I feel like, from us being able to accept our true selves. And it's really like, I feel like I really don't want my kids to feel that, but it's such a norm, right? Like, like you said, don't act like a girl. Or the other phrase I said is like, we always say, man up.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, we're not maybe intending that way, but we indirectly create that shame in a man or in a boy, saying, okay, this is not how you should be feeling, and it's a shameful act because you're not being who you are supposed to be in the eyes of the society.
Yeah, I think you're right about the fear. I think we do that because we're afraid that our hearts will hurt. And so we put up this wall or this armor around our hearts, and the head and the heart are supposed to work together. I actually think that our most powerful tool as men, as humans, is actually an open channel between our head and our heart. It's actually the seat of, you know, our courage. It's our ability to find our own self-confidence, our self-worth, our source of creative power, and just even our masculine power.
And also embracing your feminine side, right? Because I feel like we are yin and yang, both masculine and feminine energy, and just being able to embrace that.
I want to actually say that in a different way,
Sure.
because there aren't many archetypes of sensitive, strong men that we can follow.
That's true.
We can emulate. And the model for sensitivity is a woman. Yeah, so it's hard for a man who wants to embrace that he has emotions and he wants to express them, he wants to understand what they feel. These emotions carry intelligence and they can really help us in many ways to figure out and navigate our lives. But it's hard for a man to say, well, I'm going to actually embrace my feminine side. And I actually don't think it's that polarity exists. It's a spectrum. And yes, women are sensitive, they're compassionate, they're intuitive, and men are strong and powerful and bold, and but it's actually a spectrum. If we can actually just be
Meet in
everything,
the middle, or everything.
everything,
That's true.
embrace what is coming up.
True.
Without shame, without guilt, without feeling like I'm not representing the brothers or whatever it is. So I just want to say that it's not a feminine side and it's not a masculine side. It's actually just a human side. If we can just embrace our humanity, if I'm feeling sensitive, if I have these emotions that are coming up, I don't have to label them as feminine or masculine. Yeah, we do use these dualities to contextualize things, and they are helpful.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard to tell a man, embrace your feminine side and just be human. What is arising, welcome everything.
Yeah, I really like how you put it, because I feel like for men it's more acceptable like that. And I really like how you said there is no role model for you to look up to, right?
Yeah.
And I know that you are working with men now, and my husband did the whole
Awakening Masculinity.
Yeah, and he was so impressed, and he said it has really been transformational for him. So what has your work with men been like? If you can expound on that, and how is that changing the narrative, and maybe that might create new role models for our kids.
Well, I'd love that. So talking about role models, most of our heroes are that we see in the movies, that we see in mythology or religion. The male heroes, they portray this very strong, silent kind of guy who has everything together and has the answers, is a strong leader and so on. But I think that the modern man is somebody who can, welcome everything and express themselves, their sensitivity, their emotion. They can also be strong and they can have good leadership. But I don't see that archetype. Maybe it's evolving, and I would love that, but I don't see that in the past, in the history books and so on.
You're changing the narrative. You're creating them.
I hope so. But when we look at an archetype, we look at somebody from the Bible or
someone who's created history, basically. Right?
Or even the Avengers. It's whatever the young boys are looking at and saying, I would like to be like that. I see that something of myself in there that I want to find. We need those role models. We need heroes.
Definitely. But I strongly believe that you're working on other men that are going to be dads.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that my husband said, okay, there's something I need to work on. Let me change this, because I know my kids look up to their dad as their role model, of course, because that's the first male relationship they have, right?
Yeah.
And every boy wants to be like their dad. Of course, they'll be watching all these heroes and have all these mythological archetypes. But I feel like you are trying to make the change in the home where it begins.
Yeah, working with men is one of the parts of my work that really excites me. And it excites me because I've been that guy who's all over here. And I've realized how much it held me back in my just ability to taste life. When we intellectualize things and we stay over there, it can help us navigate life and fix things and figure things out. But we're not able to taste life until we're really able to step into our emotions and understand the intelligence embedded in them and use that and work with them to process and express ourselves and navigate limits and boundaries in life and move through them. So you were asking me about some of the work I was doing with men to help them through this. I think that let's look at some of the themes that I've been trying to help men with, because I've noticed that there are some particular themes that men at home really are looking for support in. I know that firstly, what a man is really looking for, what he's looking for in his heart and mind, is to have an incredible relationship or an incredible partnership. Okay, so that's something that they're really looking for. The second thing would be in parenting, to actually have a very strong connection and openness with their kids. The third thing would probably be around their health. And this is their emotional health, their physical health, their mental health. And then a couple of others would probably be around their leadership, maybe being a stronger leader, a better leader. And then finances. Men are always looking to master their finances. And let me maybe talk about the top two to see how we can help men. And I can easily say that when a man is looking for a better relationship or an amazing relationship, it has to do with intimacy, it has to do with communication and connection. And it's difficult for a man to say, look, I need help communicating with my wife or connecting with my wife or my partner. And then when we ask them, so what do you want? What do you want? And they'll simply say, I want more and I want better. A lot of these things are actually skills. As men and as women, do we think that we're just born with these innate abilities? Yeah, some of them, but in partnership, we have to grow. We have to grow together. We have to look at skills, and men can actually pick up some skills. You know, and I'll speak on my part. As a man, I know that my wife's needs are to be seen, to be heard, and to feel safe. And I think she knows that mine are to be appreciated, to be respected, and to be validated. You know, those are, and we know this about each other. I know my language of love. My language of love, we all have different languages of love, but my top two language of love is quality time and acts of service. I know it sounds a bit funny, but it is acts of service. So my wife knows that when she wants to love on me, if she brings me a cup of tea, she has got my attention. I didn't even ask for it, but she's got my attention. And hers are words of appreciation and, gosh, what is her other one? Yeah, okay.
You're missing it out on camera.
Gifts.
Okay.
Gifts. Yeah, so yeah, if I want to love on her, I want to whisper something nice to her. I want to tell her, and it opens her up, you know. And so this is how we can learn skills in our communication. And
well, I'll stop you there. Is this something that you teach or you coach on as well?
Yeah, I haven't made these up.
Yeah,
you know, these are skills out there that have worked for me. They work for a lot of men. And when we bring men to the table and we show how this works, and they try these out with their partners, and they realize that they're working. And I tell you something, if you teach a man a skill and he implements it and he's held accountable to it, and this is what happens in our group coaching programs, this man is going to be firing on guns. He's going to do this and it's going to work. And yeah, so men want more, men want better. When they say better, I'm not sure they know what they mean. You know, they're like, I just want more and I want better. It's okay. Let's say what does more mean? More means we get to speak more together. Okay, so you get to speak more together. How is that going to improve? Well, they're like, yeah, how does it get? What do we do to make it better? And sometimes understanding what their needs and what your needs are can help you. And they can say, well, I would love to be able to tell them everything and for them to tell me everything. And I'll tell them that, well, that's actually called creating a psychological safety. And they might be like, well, what's that? or how do you do that? You know, and psychological safety is a place where, you know, you can, you know, set the context and create boundaries if necessary, but also express that, you know, there should be no judgment, there should be no shame, no blame when I want to talk to you about something, or when I want to bring something up about my dreams and my visions or my fears, you know, so that's good. And the same thing applies for parenting. You need to create psychological safety with your kids. You know, kids are always going to do things that are going to frustrate us. And as men, I think the kind of relationship, what we want most from our kids, I'll speak for myself and also for some men out there, is to have more patience with our kids, because we tend to beat ourselves up a lot because we lose it, and we end up doing or saying things that we regret, and then we beat ourselves up for being a bad dad. I could have been more patient, I could have not reacted, and I could have responded, and I shouldn't have said that. But if we can create that psychological safety with our kids and have that open communication, and there are ways to do that, there's skills to do that. I mean, my best conversations with my daughters have been when I take them for a drive, and they can sit in the front seat now, side by side, or we go for a walk. Because sometimes, you know, when you sit face to face and you're like, so about those grades, or about that fight you had, or about that website you were on.
It gets too confrontational, I feel like.
They're already feeling ashamed. There's always they feel blamed, they feel intimidated, they feel overpowered, you know, when you're an adult looks at them like that. But when you're walking side by side, you know, we're going in the same direction. We're a team. That psychological safety is kind of there, and these are skills we can teach each other. When I say teach each other, when I do these group coachings, it's not me coaching somebody one-on-one. We actually are learning together, because I'm also learning. I'm also learning from the men who are older and younger than me, who have more experience, who are looking for that guidance. And I love that dynamic about each of us learning from each other, because life is so diverse, and we all have different circumstances and experiences, but we are connected by so many of our experiences, and we can share them. Some of us have been through them successfully, some of them have been through addiction, some of them have been through divorce, some of them have been through heartbreaks and grief and loss, and we can share these and we can learn from one another.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those tips as well. I feel like it would help women also that are watching and want to improve their relationship, and it will spark a conversation in their relationship as well, which I think
a good one, I hope.
Yeah, I'm sure. Be like, just like, let's get to know each other better, you know. And I feel like that's a great starting point to begin working on your relationship as well, like just getting to know what your needs are and how you like being appreciated, or like you said, the love languages, right? Like it's really interesting to be able to know that about the other person, especially if you're living with them 24/7.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
As a wife and as a mother of boys, how old are your boys?
10 and 5.
Okay, wow, that really impressionable age.
Yeah.
What are you noticing coming up for you when I talk about some of these really difficult things that men are dealing with and are keeping to themselves, and it hurts us in so many ways? I mean, what's coming up for you? What are you noticing?
So the first thing that comes up is fear. Like, I'm scared for them, because my whole life journey has been about being who I really am and being that in my full spectrum, and getting freedom from that conditioning and being able to experience my life the way I want. And I want to show that to my kids too. So it's that fear that there might be something that they might watch, or someone that they might meet. And well, I have people in my family that have told my kids, don't cry, boys are not meant to cry. And I'm glad that my husband and I both are on the same page about this. And we're like, no, I don't think that's okay. It's okay for you to cry, show your emotions, deal with it, and express it, and we can move on. I also feel proud that I have created that space for my kids to open up and talk about what they really go through. And like you said, like sitting eye to eye, looking at them eye to eye does not work. So what I do is take them on dates. So just one-on-one dates. So one date's the older one date's the younger one, and we go walking in the mall or walking in Karura, and they get popcorn or a milkshake or whatever they want. We take a card game, and we chat over a milkshake. And I'm so happy that they actually open up to me about their crushes and the love notes that they get and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, I'm really happy that I get to hear this from them. And being a wife, we've been married for 12 years now almost. And I feel like coming from India, where the culture is very male dominated, and I feel like it's still here too. I feel like my husband and I have gone through a journey of growth together. yes, we started apart, but we faced challenges and we kept on going on our journey, and we grew together. So there have been times where we've not gotten along on stuff that we've been just discussing or just talking about. But now it's gotten to a point where, okay, I can see that he's growing and I'm growing at the same pace. So we're able to have open discussions about something that he's feeling, something that I'm feeling, and not feel ashamed about it. And yes, when we still go out in the world, when we're representing our family in the big family or in the society, we do face certain challenges when you're like, okay, you're supposed to do this as a man, or you're not supposed to do this as a woman, or don't talk like this to your man, or you are supposed to do this for your man. And I think we're still navigating how to be able to deal with that, because there's elders in your network that you don't want to challenge, because at that age, how are you going to tell them to change? But for us, it's important to understand that we're not passing that on and breaking that cycle there and there. And that's a journey in itself. But yeah, I feel like it's a constant journey of growth and learning. And of course, even like when we are changing, there's going to be people around us that are going to want to pull us back into the same conditioning, but it's the awareness and the constant communication. I feel like effective communication is the key in trying to make a change within our little family unit.
That's awesome. No, you brought up some really interesting things, and I think that what you started out talking about, fear, there's so much around fear. I guess where I'm coming from in terms of men understanding how to navigate this channel between their heart and their head is actually to understand how to process their emotions. And this emotion of fear, for example, let me just talk about that for a moment, because it's so prevalent. We all experience fear. And even if a man is experiencing fear and he doesn't show it, the body doesn't lie. The body vibrates in that fear. It is processing that fear. And adrenaline is the fear hormone. Adrenaline is being released. And if that fear is embodied and the adrenaline is released and nothing is being done about it because we're just holding it together, it is so unhealthy. It leads to panic attacks, irregular heartbeat. I don't know.
I feel like it's just aggression in general. It comes out of aggression,
anger,
right?
Anger, But
because I feel that too. Like I feel like not just with men, but even
all of us.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
if I build up fear or just something that I'm upset about and I'm not talking about, just builds up until like the balloon bursts one day and I'm like screaming and shouting.
What if we said, okay, let me go into that fear. Let me understand what's happening to me, and we learn to maybe turn that volume down instead of up, and pause instead of letting that fan belt crank, and we actually notice what fear feels like, and we actually let our bodies tell us what this emotion is expressing, because our bodies are intelligent. Our emotional intelligence is actually working with the emotion and processing it instead of shutting it down and putting it away, because it's, the toothpaste is going to come out. If you fill something in, it's going to come out. And fear is so commonplace, but fear just means I need more information. If you let your body process it, fear is I need more information. There's something complex that I can't understand. It's uncertain. I can't figure it out, and it's creating anxiety and stress in me. The adrenaline is pumping. But if I stop and I said, okay, I need more information. Fear means and we can learn these skills that, okay, stop, I'm experiencing fear. I need information. I don't understand something. And I promise you, if you understand what it is that you're afraid of, you won't be afraid of it. That understanding might not be comfortable. It might continue to feel discomfort, but you won't feel fear. You'll be able to work through it. And these emotions, the intelligence they carry, they help us. The adrenaline helps us focus. The intelligence that comes up, I need more information. We're able to use that focus to look for the information we need to actually make better decisions.
So
And
use it in a constructive way rather than let it pull you down.
instead of shutting it down, let it process through you, look at what it's telling you, get what you need, and make the decisions. I promise you that some of the guys, some of the geniuses out there that invented things or created things or made decisions that have impacted our whole world in amazing ways, have been through fear, used that fear, focused that fear with whatever adrenaline, etc. was in them, and came up with these brilliant plans that have helped us in life. But here as men, we choose to bottle it down, we choose to pack it deep down, hide it in that armor, so we don't show that we're afraid, so we show that we're in control, we don't ask for help, we just stay in that little zone of, I'm a man, I've got it covered,
But do you think like a lot of men don't even have the awareness of that yet?
I actually think a lot of men are starting to realize that they're out of balance. There's some misalignment, and all types of men who are super successful. They have everything that you can buy on this earth, but they realize that, why am I sad? Let me figure this out. Let me work through this. Why am I still afraid of losing everything? Or somebody who's tried really hard and hasn't made it in terms of somebody's eyes might be like, well, maybe that's not what it's about anymore. Maybe it's about something else, because I have all these feelings and I don't know what to do with them, or I don't know what to even call them, because I haven't felt for a long time. I don't know what it is really like to appreciate or process my feelings. But when we can actually and I feel a lot of men are starting to make that journey from the head to the heart to try to connect these two places, and that strong masculine power is coming out, where they're able to make embodied decisions that impact their lives and their partnerships and their leadership and their finances and their children in beautiful ways. So I do feel like there is movement over there. Men are starting to ask themselves, not somebody outside of them, ask themselves that there's got to be more to this than, trying to get the paycheck, for the next one. Something's going on inside of me and I need to look at that. And they're asking for help too, or they're working together with other men, but not enough. When we get together as men, it's so easy to talk about, sports, stocks, sex. We never ask another guy, so how are you feeling? How are you feeling about what happened? It's not the kind of conversation we have. Sometimes women ask us, how are you feeling? And we're like, what do you mean, how am I feeling? I'm okay. But you're not. Because sometimes you don't know what you're feeling, and you need to start learning about what's happening inside of you, and there's so much happening. There's a whole world happening, and if you want to keep that, you need to start chipping away at that armor, and starting to let your heart talk to you and talk to it, and have some movement happen over there.
That is so powerful. That moves me to my next question. What was your journey?
My journey.
Coming to here.
Oh, wow, yeah. First of all, it wasn't a long time ago that I experienced some shifts. I was the kind of guy who I had a lot of external validation issues. I kind of looked at myself based on what other people thought of my title, my assets, my, all sorts of things related to what they thought about. That's how I looked at myself, and that never gave me any happiness. In fact, it caused more confusion and misery. And not a long time ago, I left my my job, and I took some time off. I started putting some thoughts together on this workshop I wanted to teach on human potential. This is the workshop you took 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, 2020.
2020, gosh, yeah,
Limitless
there you go.
Possibilities.
Yeah, being limitless. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, you were one of my first 20, 30 students, I would say.
Oh, wow.
I started teaching that workshop, and something about that workshop really resonated with me, which was the meditations that we used as a tool to go inside and do some of that inner work. And I really enjoyed that. And that workshop led me to understand that I want to be teaching meditation. I want to be using this. It's such a powerful tool that's helped me, and I want to use it to help other people. So yeah, in a nutshell, my journey was one where, I was a guy out there, trying to make a buck, trying to make a name, so others would look at him with respect, validation, acceptance, all that stuff. Still that playground stuff that I was talking about earlier, well into my early 40s, you know. Sometimes it takes a long time for us to shift. And now I feel a lot more comfortable with who I am, you know, however I am, and not trying to do anything to impress anyone. You know, I see it coming up. I see myself wanting to tell Zia, you know what I used to do? I don't want to talk about that. I'm not looking to impress, you know. I was that person, but I don't have to do that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great that you have that awareness and you can see that part of yourself independently without letting it affect you. I think it's a very good milestone that we get to in our journey, when we can look at that side of us, accept ourselves, accept it, but still not let it control us or let it overpower us.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your journey. You mentioned that you realized you wanted to teach meditation too, right? So what are the other offerings that you have? So I know you have the masculine.
Yeah, so I do run groups for men.
Okay.
And I also do meditation and group coaching, and we work with many different topics that are just prevalent in our life, you know, dealing with victimhood, dealing with stuckness, dealing with limiting beliefs, and they're always fun sessions. In the meditation school that I studied in, it was very much more of a Buddhist lineage, but my offering is, or my practice is a little bit different. It's a little bit more playful. I think that's my energy. It's a little bit more playful and silly and less serious. So it's not heavy, serious meditation, etc. I usually start a session out where we talk about the topic for a little bit, and we get that energy moving about the topic. And then we do a little interaction, you know, something together. Because when we get groups together, it's nice to know other people rather than we're here together, we do something and we leave, and we see you at Chandrana or Carrefour and we don't say hi because we don't know each other. But we do a little bit of interaction, so we also get the energy moving with the topic. And then we go inside and we do some inner work because the energy is already moving, and when it's moving, that's when we can start shifting it. So we do a bit of guided meditation, and I have a nice little process that I like to follow, which is very simple. When we go inside, we find it. We're finding what it is we're working on. We feel it, so we start to notice and we start to give some texture to it. And then we face it, and then we heal it. So it's a very simple little framework I follow, and I can work with groups, big groups, small groups. I've been doing some work with corporates and boards in their wellness programs. Something new that I started is this monthly edgier games night. I'm calling it the Heart Lounge, and it's super fun and playful. It's usually a dinner and drinks and a bunch of interesting games where we bring our hearts, our energy to the table in these games, and we interact in ways that really help us see each other and also be seen. You know, so it's they're a lot of fun. Everybody has a really fun time, but also a heartwarming time. And you can come alone, you can come with friends, you can come with your partner, and you'll probably leave with more friends. Yeah, so the Heart Lounge is something really fun that I'm enjoying doing as well. I'm also doing these other meditation courses. I just ran what's called a daily meditation breakthrough, where we focus on one topic or thing in your life that you have some stuckness around, some resistance around. So maybe it's in your career space, or in a relationship, or in a health issue, or just an energy that you've just been dealing with, like imposter syndrome or something like that. And for 2 weeks, each day, we meet for just a bite-sized part of your day for 30 minutes. And it's online, so it's on Zoom. And we spend 5-10 minutes talking about a certain part of that topic, and then we go into meditation to work with it. So we kind of look at that topic like a diamond, like the facets of a diamond. We'll look at them from a different place every time. And usually that breaks up the energy, that shell that's around that topic, and it starts to free up. And we're not really looking for the answer, because what actually happens as you break down the resistance around that topic is that the clarity or some kind of intuitive answer kind of develops, as you open to it. So it's a it's another beautiful experience we can have.
That's really intriguing. I might want to try it out.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to have fun with some of these tools and this space, as a lot of them are experiments, but a lot of them are actually very fulfilling. You know, people are really having great experiences, and I'm getting a lot of satisfaction myself from that.
Yeah, it's so fulfilling to hear that, right? When you see the transformation happen. So where can people find you or find information on all the offerings?
Yeah. So I'm still a novice to social media, but I do have a website. My wellness platform is called True Mana. Mana is like chi and prana. It's a Polynesian word for energy, life force energy. True Mana, and so True Mana usually.
So truemana.com.
Yeah, truemana.com usually tells you what's happening. Online and in person, usually at some of the wellness studios in Nairobi.
Okay, awesome. So guys, you know where to reach out to Rishi, and if ladies are watching, you know where you need to link up your men. Thank you for sharing. This was really powerful, and I learned a lot, and I got to reflect also a lot. So that was really interesting, and I'm sure it's going to help so many people out there.
Thank you.
Before we close, I do a little rapid fire round, which is a short quiz so that the audience can get to know you a little better.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, all right? Whatever comes to your mind first.
Yeah.
What's your daily non-negotiable habit for your mental health?
Meditation.
Guided meditation or music meditation?
Both. I have a binaural beat playing in the background, and it's 35 minutes long, so I know when it ends, and I know when I'm done. Otherwise, I could sit for longer, or sometimes I'm waiting for it. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. When is that going to end? It happens to all of us.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Both.
It used to happen to me in like 10-minute meditation. I'm like, is it not 10 minutes yet? But I guess you build the strength over time, right?
Yeah, in a practice, I think.
Yeah. Would you rather sleep for an hour or read a book for an hour?
This week, sleep for an hour.
Netflix show or YouTube channel?
Gosh, neither. I don't follow any YouTube channels, right?
You have to follow mine now.
Oh gosh, I guess so. Maybe Spotify. Yeah, Spotify. Music. I like music. I listen to music all the time. I play music, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Call a friend or text a friend?
Gosh, I'm guilty of texting more than calling.
Don't worry, I'm the same. Alone time or play a board game with someone?
Oh, play a board game with people. Yeah.
Play a sport or do another workout?
Oh, sport. I'm a games guy.
Nice. I'm going to ask you because I asked all the guests, do you play paddle? Because that's the new thing. Everyone's like, I love sport now because I play paddle.
Yeah, I do actually.
Nice. What's one piece of advice you could give your younger self about mental health and why?
There's a Buddhist monk, Pema Chodron, and there's a quote that stays with me that's arising, and I'll just say it, which is, nothing leaves us until it teaches us what we're here to learn. So all those things that I got stuck on and caught up and wanted to get rid of, if I could have just looked inside and seeing what it was there to help me learn, and then maybe then it would shift and I would move on, because that's kind of how I see things evolving.
Yeah, I love that, and I know that you gave me the same advice before we started recording.
Okay.
And it reminds me of that. What's your personal mantra or affirmation that keeps you going?
Oh, wow. Now, that's a bit complicated, because I used to have all these beautiful affirmations, but now I'm fully into heavy mantras and Buddhist mantras. And there's a mantra that has really saved me in times of grief, which is White Tara. White Tara is the consort to Alukaveshwara, who's the thousand-handed Buddha. Anyway, long story there. And it goes like this: Om Tare Tutare Ture Mamayu Punijana Putim Kuru Suha. And it's just beautiful, and it's very powerful as well.
Thanks for sharing that. Last one. What's one piece of advice that you would give our audience before leaving? Well, there's men and women watching, so some advice to men and maybe women that can help their men.
Yeah, I'd just say advice to both men
humans,
and women.
Humans in general.
I like relational connection. If we can open our hearts and be authentic with one another, no matter how awkward or vulnerable that might feel at times, I think that just really opens up a new ball game for depth and sincerity and trust and fun and getting to know one another so much better. So just don't think about what you're going to say, just say it openly, what's arising, welcome everything. And
definitely, and there's so much growth in that. Just embracing that and being your most authentic self. Thank you.
Thank you,
was
Zia.
So much fun.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for
Fun.
sharing.
Pleasure. So nice to be here.
And as a token of appreciation, we have a little gift for you.
These are so pretty. Thank you.
Thanks. And I know one of the things you might not be able to use, so you can gift it to your wife since she loves getting gifts.
Okay. Yes. There you go. Respect. Thank you, Zia.
Thanks for being
Pleasure.
here. Wow, that was so powerful. I just want to remind you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share because your support means everything to us. I also want to give a special thanks to our brand partners, Lulu Kitololo, Earth Stones, and Sarah Organics, for contributing to our podcast. I hope you enjoyed this podcast because I really, really did. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep prioritizing your well-being.